Today we're going to make a standard hook lockpick, which you can see on the bottom here, and we're going to make that from spring steel. You can usually obtain that kind of spring steel for free, as they are used in car window wipers, so you can extract that from an old car window wiper, or the scavengers cars that clean the streets also use them, so you'll sometimes find those laying in the streets. We're just going to clip off the amount of spring steel we need. By the way, you can find photos of these professional hook picks on the internet, so you may want to print one of these and use it as your template. Next we're going to put our piece of spring steel into the vise and then start filing away at it. We'll first of all use a round file to mimic the round bend in the hook. I'll show that later again. And here you can see we're getting there. Not quite, but yeah, it's looking a bit like the original already. We're also gonna have to take care of the other end and make that look round as a hook as well. Keep comparing your hook to the original hook, and eventually you'll get there, as we can see here. And finally we'll also have to take care of the shaft. And once we decide we're happy with it, we're going to have to make a nice handle for it as well. For this you can, for example, use those free spoons you get at fast food restaurants. So just basically wooden bars, but they make quite good handles. So we'll just use good old duct tape to put that on our spring steel. Also, you'll want to use nice and fine sandpaper to take care of all the edges from filing the metal. And there we go, our finished lockpick. That was easy to make, and especially it was free, basically. Now we'll just need a tension wrench, which you can make out of a piece of that spring steel as well. Quite simple, just bend it and it's done. Problem is that this wrench is not suitable for tiny locks, as it's really just too big, it blocks the whole cylinder. So to work around that, we can actually use a bobby pin. Some of the long-haired people might know it. It's some kind of tool to put hair together or whatever. So you can just find it at a drugstore. And then just clip it off and bend it in shape, and we can use it to pick the lock. And using our self-made tool, this is quite simple with this lock because it's really a useless lock. So yeah, let's have a look at something else. This is an average lock you can basically find anywhere. It's quite a good one. It has mushroom pins, which you'll see soon. So if the key enters the lock, it pushes all those little pins so they neatly align with the cylinder and allow the cylinder to turn. As you can see right here. Trying to push it in really slowly so you can see the mechanics behind it. All the pins are aligned and we can turn the cylinder. There we go, lock open. Let's try that with our lockpick. Picking this lock, however, is not that easy with the soft spring steel we used to make this pick, because you need quite a lot of tension to hold the pins in place, and so it would be best if we had a harder piece of steel. So let's see what we can use. This here is actually a piece of a spoke from a racing bike. You can see it's very thin and flat, but still not flat enough, so you're gonna have to use a rotary tool to make it as thin as the spring steel. But even when it's thin, it will be still much harder and less flexible. So that's good for this purpose. Well, and then just process the steel as you would process the other spring steel, as I've shown you before. And you'll get a nice, unflexible, hard tool like this. That is very similar to our other tool, except that it's, as I said, not as flexible. So here I also made a handle from some kind of wire, but it really doesn't matter what you use. It's important to note how much less flexible the steel is, that's all. Now let's try and pick that lock with our bike spoke pick. You can see how the pins are aligning. Second from the left, and the last one is in the right position now. So let's try and get the other one straight. Trying to get the one on the very left. Seems very hard. And now that's the advantage of those mushroom pins. you can barely see it, but I actually locked up the lock now, so you can't do anything but release all the pins again. Let's take a look at that in slow motion again. Here you can see how they are all stuck. That is the advantage, or in my case disadvantage, of those mushroom pins. So you need to release them all again. Also, what may happen is that you push in the pins too deep. So this looks quite good for now, if we're nearly there, and then the pin on the very right gets stuck. You can see the top of the pin getting stuck there. So we need to release again. Oh well. Okay, but I figure you actually want to see me open that lock, so here we go. Just a tension wrench in place, and still our safe mode tool. Now this is a sequence where I'm actually trying not to mess up. Here you can see the 3 pins on the right are in the right position already, but those 2 on the left are not. Now it roughly appears as if they were in the right position, but apparently at least one of them needs a little more of a push for the lock to finally open. And finally, it is done. Hooray!